Is this your microphone? Is this your microphone too? Is this your microphone too? Okay. We're going to start in about 5 minutes, everybody, so please have your seats and we'll get started. All right, good evening, everybody. Please have your seats, and we'll get started in 1 second. Everyone, please have your seats. Who is this? Your daughter? Do you know who she is? It's okay, she's coming. But who is she? Okay. Please have your seats. I see a lot of people still talking. Please have your seats. Please have your seats. It's the last time I'm asking everybody, please have your seat. Good. Come here. Okay, what's your name? Jennifer. How old are you? 7. Is there anything that you'd like to say to everybody? Yeah. Go ahead. Free Palestine. Okay, louder. Free Palestine. Now you have to say it, so you say it after you're ready. You're going to say it after, okay? Really loud, go. Free Palestine. Good job. We're going to get out of here. Go back to your table. All right, everybody, welcome. If everyone could please rise for the Palestinian Nasheed. There's no flag, but you can look at the map. Sorry. موطني مستقل أو يبي نستقي من الردى ولن نكون للعدا كالعبيد لا نريد ذلنا المؤبد وعيشنا المنكد ذلنا المؤبد وعيشنا المنكد لا نريد بل نعيد مجدنا تليد موطني. Thank you. Everybody, welcome. Good evening. Let's try this again. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Masa al-khair. I am so honored to be with all of you here tonight. My name is Ahmed. I am the president of this organization called New Generation for Palestine that is putting together this event here tonight. As you all know, this weekend is the weekend commemorating the 66th commemoration of the Nakba, the 66th commemoration of our survival and our winning, and the 66th year of Palestinians speaking the truth. And we are here tonight to stand up for the truth, and we are so honored to be here tonight with a lot of our partners and community organizations, including the Islamic Institute of America, and we are so honored that they are here with us tonight, and everyone else who's here with us tonight. Thank you. Look around the room. We have a full room of people here tonight standing up for Palestine and standing up for what we're doing. Let me give you a quick rundown of what we're going to do so everyone knows what to expect. I already assumed everyone would be half an hour late, so that's good. We're starting perfectly on time. Please have your seats. Everybody who's standing up, please have your seats. Please have your seats. So we are going to have a couple video messages from a couple of our guests who are not able to join us. Reverend M and Ambassador Hossam Zumlok were not able to join us out of visa and travel issues, but they did send us some video messages that we will start. We're going to go through those. Then we are going to have dinner. And then we are going to have our keynote speaker here with us tonight, Dr. Jill Stein. And then right before dinner, I have a special treat for you all from a student speaker as well, who's going to be joining us as well. I'm going to leave that as a surprise. Let me also let you know that tonight, yes, is a fundraiser. We are calling this the Gaza Relief Dinner. As you see this QR code on the screen, tonight we are donating the money to PCRF, the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, and Doctors Against Genocide. Doctors Against Genocide is a group that arose here today, yes. Doctors Against Genocide is a new group that arose right after October 7th, started here in Michigan, based throughout the country. They had a medical conference earlier today. They're raising money to do medical missions and medicine deliveries. And then the PCRF is the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, who many of you are familiar with. Is Miss Lubna here, or Miss Soha here? I don't see her. She's not here yet? Okay, hopefully she'll be here. But if she's here, she'll give us a little talk. If not, I'll do it. The Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, as all of you know, has been around for a very long time. They had a cancer center in Palestine, in Gaza, that was recently bombed by the Israelis during the genocide, and we're raising money tonight to help them rebuild that cancer center in Gaza. So that's why we're here tonight. All right, so if you can, at any time during the night, you can go to the QR code. It's also on all the signs that are on your table. You can also go to ngp1948.org. When you go to the QR code or go to the donation site, it'll ask you if you want to make your donation to PCRF, to Doctors Against Genocide, or both. Please select one of those three options and then put in $10,000. There's a lot of doctors here. $25,000 from the doctors. Put in whatever amount makes sense to you, please. And then the donation will come to NGP, and then we will make the donation to these organizations. Are there any questions about the donations before we start? Because if you have a question, other people might have questions. Raise your hands, going once, going twice. Otherwise, you can ask me throughout the night. First of all, I want to start with our first message, which is going to be from Reverend M. If you could go ahead to the next slide, Tariq. Reverend M. who couldn't be with us here. He's in Bethlehem, but he sent us this message. You can hit the play button on the bottom. Go ahead. I'm glad to be the new generation from outside and for your education I totally wish I could have been with you in person. Please understand that my schedule is not permitting me busy. I do appreciate all the hard work you do in the United States. And I'm living here and this genocide and just please focus my environment. For us and the Palestinian people. Of course, speaking to you, we maintain evidence of the most prolific genocide that all people on this earth are going through. It's a genocide that no one can claim using that law. And this is the thing that gets the most exciting on the Western world, that complicity. Why can't we ever be behind this world has revealed to us they focus in embracing the context of the world. They also about
racism and hypocrisy is manifestable you see. They have no regard for human lives. What we're facing today is racist movements and the culture of supremacy that really does not care about human lives. But it's also a war that shows the world the strength and resilience and steadfastness of the Palestinian people, especially in the South. أو كالأشرار وجوها كالأشرار في بلد والله at least that understanding is happening. These are people that are being killed, but they are still standing with the resilience. So today, as speaking of the more complex and more us, these are more complex. Two is the Gaza has not been actually as we think because we don't know where we're supposed to genocide. We don't know where we're going to children are being vaccinated in such a horrific manner. 50,000 Palestinian children have been killed so far in this brutal genocide. And even though many of the leaders are still silent or giving empty words of regret or concern, the streets around the world are silent. I go to the world and see the Palestinian people, see the Palestinian flag, at least in instances of this crime. The streets are speaking. We see many churches and mosques and synagogues are speaking. And today, particularly, single universities are speaking. And I believe this is really important in my This is really a turning point. All of these movements, whether in the streets, in places of worship, or in particular in universities, are showing the world where the credibility and integrity lies. And today, the world needs this movement. Today, our politicians with their bankruptcy, with their moral bankruptcy, needs the guidance of these young people in universities, need the guidance of those who are making history for meetings such as this one. Those who are making understand are the ones who write our history and history will remember that. And for those who are complicit and insane, we cannot do the process of us that we cannot do it with your complicity and we cannot agree with the God of your hands. So I urge you to keep that in the youth. I urge you to continue your creative and innovative resistance to empire and social. Keep disturbing those in the comfort zones. Our brothers and leaders today need these values, they inspiration, and conditions in today's world of humanity and moral credibility must become accountants. They must not be rewarded. They must be held accountable. Especially if the truth is evident for all to see. And so today we need this movement around the world to continue to guide our world. Finally, let me say a quick message to our people in Gaza. Where all of you, if you commented, if you helped us, we feel that you can help us. So please forgive us. Forgive us for letting you come. We have let it down and let the children of Gaza down. Please be assured today that we are looking at them and we will continue to stand with you. You cite us to hold your courage. I feel that the day learning on your expectations. You have challenged and changed the world today to really show the promise of its leaders. We have the price so high price that you pay for it. So today, we are the season of Ahmed and the Genocide that become the symbol of the free world in our world. As a rise and support around the world, solidarity and also solidarity, and I am confident that that's the rise. Apart from activation, the government and the partner, plus the government. We will rise to the government. We will not lose our faith in God, without justice, without truth and righteousness. That's also right. Seek the Lord Jesus Christ, the faith of Christianity. Let's remember that message of Christmas, that God is the most of solidarity with the oppressed.
Thank you to Reverend M. Like I said, when I first got in touch with him, we tried everything to get him out here, but he was in South Africa just last week, and he had to go back to Bethlehem. But you heard him talk about justice, and you heard him talk about the truth. And again, that Palestine is the cradle of all of these things, including being the cradle of Christianity. Sometimes they tell you in America that Christianity started here, but started in Palestine. And we are, as Palestinians, the last few months have showed us quite clearly who our allies are and who the people who have stood with us the strongest. And as someone who's lived here in Michigan for a long time, let me just say, we live in Dearborn, and I moved here on purpose, and it's Yemeni and Lebanese, which means as a Palestinian, it's like Disneyland right now. It is the best place to be, because we are not ashamed. We are not ashamed to say thank you to our Lebanese brothers in the north that are protecting the border up there. And we are not ashamed to say thank you to our Yemeni brothers and sisters who are protecting the sea. And to everyone in the Arab world, I just came from a long trip in the Arab world where everyone is standing with us, from Iraq to Syria to all the places in the Arab world. And we have seen very clearly who have been our allies, and especially here in Dearborn. And for the longest time, the Islamic Institute of America has been a deep and strong ally, steadfast with the Palestinian people, and that's why NGP was so honored to partner with the Islamic Institute of America and the MYC there. And so please help me welcoming one of our speakers here tonight, Sayyid Ahmed.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I begin in the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful, and I send his salutations upon his messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. My dear brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I'd like to thank our dear brother Ahmed for his beautiful words and all of that kind and generous praise that he gave us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept the small deeds that we do and to always give us the power and the courage and the ability to stand with the truth against injustice and oppression, no matter where it may be. When we look at what's happening today in Palestine and Gaza, it's very hard to stay hopeful. And it's very easy to lose complete hope and be despondent when there is no end in sight. The massive destruction, barbarism, killing that we probably have never witnessed in our lives, probably only in movies. And alongside that, the gaslighting and the lies and the just ridiculous justifications that are made for these crimes that we see unfolding before our eyes. While the people in Gaza suffer and they die all alone, we have to sit and watch these individuals on TV who sit and bicker if that is a genocide or not. That just adds more insult to the injury. What is the definition of genocide? Who cares? Why are we so fixated on these couple of letters, genocide? When we see babies are being killed, we have to prove that it's some term that we made up called genocide? This is one of the tactics, brothers and sisters, of gaslighting, of trying to blur the lines between truth and falsehood, injustice and justice. If genocide does not apply, then it's okay to kill thousands of babies. On which world, on which planet? Which humanity is this? So you see the death, the destruction, you find all these ridiculous justifications and gaslighting. And on top of all of that, just the inability of the world to do anything while people are suffering and dying slowly because of the famine and everything that's happening in Palestine. So like I said, it's very easy to lose hope. But today, in the few couple of minutes that I have, I'd like to focus on the brighter side, the silver linings, as they say. And I'll mention 3 points, brothers and sisters, for those that feel helpless. Number one, we have learned a few lessons from the brave people of Gaza. They have taught us lessons, brothers and sisters, that usually would take maybe centuries for an individual to absolve, to understand, but throughout just a couple of months, unbelievable lessons. The first lesson that at least I can say about myself, and I think most of you can attest to that, the Palestinian people have shown us that the greatest gift that God can give you is patience. The greatest benefaction that God can give you is patience and resilience. It doesn't matter what you own, what you have. What matters is how strong you are from the inside. And we saw this in an unbelievable way. You've seen thousands of movies. You'll barely find someone complaining, "Why did you do this to me, God? Why are all these calamities falling upon us?" All you see is patience, resilience, defiance. And this is a great favor from Allah Azza wa Jalla. Because there are people who have everything given to them by God, but they don't have patience. All they do is whine and complain. If my steak isn't well medium rare, that will ruin my day. While people in Palestine, brothers and sisters, if they just see water, fresh water, bread, that will make their week, their month. And yet they're not complaining. The second lesson it's taught me is how lucky I am, how blessed we are, brothers and sisters. This, as evil and as detrimental and sad as what's happening in Palestine, but at least it should open our eyes to the benefactions of God for us. How many favors has God bestowed upon us that we are not even aware of? Wallahi, if we just focus on some of these benefits, we would be ashamed to complain to God, to complain to others. Because every single one of us here, trust me, every single one of us here, no matter how miserable I may feel my life is or was, we are all living like kings compared to the people of Gaza. And yet you find, like I said, they're patient. So this is a lesson for all of us. That cup of water that you see, this is a premium. This is a dream come true for a child. That loaf of bread that we don't even look at. This is a dream now for many people in Palestine. So be more grateful to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And finally, number 3, and I'll end with this point. If I'm losing hope, Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Holy Quran, God the Almighty gives us hope when it comes to such acts of injustice where we feel like there's no one that is able to stop it. Allah shows us that you can never succeed, you can never be triumphant through injustice and oppression. Maybe you can win the battle, but you can never win the war. He says in the Holy Quran, this is a verse where Allah says, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ اللَّهَ غَافِلًا عَمَّا يَعْمَلُ الظَّالِمُونَ إِنَّمَا يُؤَخِّرُهُمْ لِيَوْمٍ تَشْخَصُ فِيهِ الْأَبْصَارُ. Do not think that God is unaware of what's going on, of all of the injustices, of the horrific crimes that are happening. God is just delaying those evildoers to a day in which He will serve justice in such a great way that all they can do, those evil individuals, is stare in horror. So there is a day of judgment, a day of reckoning, that God will show His justice. It's been narrated from Imam Ali alayhi salam, the successor of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that when he had a battle against one of his enemies, some of his companions told him to use some of the tactics of his own enemies. What made Imam Ali special, and you can see that very clearly now, was that he never tried to defeat even his worst enemies through immoral ways, through unjust ways. Never, even if it meant he loses the battle. This happened over and over again until his companions, some of them complained. You have to be shrewd, O Ali ibn Abi Talib. Sometimes you have to be savage. Because what? Because you're fighting human animals, as we hear today. Even with those fighters, whether we're not talking about children and women, when it was just a battle men to men, Imam Ali alayhi salam would never ever use any unjust way to fight against them. In one of the battles, his enemies, they take control of the water. What do? No water, so Imam Ali and his troops, like what Israel did. Cut water, electricity, food, everything. Imam Ali and his companions are now dying of thirst until they've launched an offensive. Now they take control of the river. His companions tell him, let's do the same thing. He says, never, give them water. Fight like a man. You have a problem with that entity that you claim is evil? Why kill children? Why kill all those women, children, old people that have nothing to do with war? Imam Ali would not even kill the soldiers, combatants, through immoral ways, through depriving them water. And they claim, what's funny and what's ridiculous is they are the most moral army in the world. That's the biggest joke, brothers and sisters. Anyone, brothers and sisters, that is looking for triumph, anyone that wants God to help them, anyone who believes that God is with them, I know and I am sure that every divine book believes that implementing justice is the most important tenet of every religion. Whether the Quran, whether the Bible, whether the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Torah. Justice is a fundamental principle of all religions. And you can never be successful and be triumphant in the long term if you want to achieve success and triumph through injustice. And once again, this is exactly what Imam Ali said. When he was told again and again and again, why are you so moral? Sometimes you have to what? Sometimes you have to be cruel. The Imam used to say these famous words, أَتَأْمُرُونِي أَنْ أَطْلُبَ النَّصْرَ بِالْجَوْرِ. You want me to achieve success through injustice? Once you seek injustice, once you act in an unjust way, you lost the war, even if you won the battle. And that's why, if Israel truly claims, I'll end with this, that the reason why they're engaging in this war, killing all these people, is because they want the hostages, which is the biggest lie. They don't care about the hostages. But let's say that's true. You will never reach a noble goal by killing children. Even if you do rescue your hostages, but over the dead bodies of thousands of children, you consider yourself as triumphant. This is not a religion that God the Almighty would ever send or condone. This is pure satanic, brothers and sisters, purely satanic. So I end by asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God the Almighty, to bring justice to the people of Gaza. They're not alone. God is watching, He's recording everything, and eventually things will fall into their rightful places. We all believe in the justice of Allah Azza wa Jal. But this is their test. The people of Palestine, their test is Netanyahu, is the IDF, is that the 90% of the world has neglected them. And you know what? They passed their test because they proved that they are great individuals, brave, courageous, and patient. But do you know who is failing the test? The rest of the world. Most of the world. They're the ones that are just looking and doing nothing. Let's hope that we are not amongst those brothers and sisters that stay silent. May Allah Azza wa Jal always give them success. I'd like to thank Brother Ahmed once again. God bless you for all the work that you do. And inshallah, we will all live to see a day where Palestine is free, inshallah ta'ala. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Sayyid Ahmed. All right, before we have dinner, a few more minutes, Deanna, before we have dinner, let me go ahead and put the next video up. Ambassador Hassan Zook, who you have all seen all over the news, the international news. He also wished that he could be with us here, but unfortunately travel issues also did not work out for him. And it's much later in London, so he recorded a message. So go ahead, Potter, hit the message for that.
It is an honor to be invited to speak to Goliath's fundraising. A lot of us have very honest and deep relation for Palestine. You all have been doing some amazing work in the efforts to connect Palestine and migrants, and they hope to do so to guide, empower, the visionary as well as the victim. It's a significant and very worthwhile mission of historical work. It is the right mission that the idea of humanity is common, and the way is vital for the way is right. But I want to focus on the idea of immigration. It is clear to me that in the heart of Islam's suicidal migration, all Palestine, and especially in Gaza, something positive, something momentous, stating all around the world, who see in the negatives who have been in the streets everywhere. In some of the Palestinian struggle for liberation, for justice, and for the equal implementation of the law. We see that the organization from living recovery families have voted primarily to support Palestinian statehood and for their country, leaving Israel and its new Canadian allies, including new US and new governments, increasingly isolated. Both of these have resonance with the struggle against the Palestinian Africa in the 80s, were great progressive and the loss of the South Africa's history were gradually lifted down to the US and the then as now, and as it had become more movement, student promises were a key feature. And the growing student movement for justice in Palestine, one that has seen encampments on and spreads by far, promises all over the US and all over the world, as the awareness in the this is the new generation. And it is not just a generation, it's a generation of instinctive beings. This is a generation that is growing up to face some serious existential challenges, from climate change to growing economic inequality to an existential dangerous state of international affairs and the steering and the very fabric of the international space program. Steering and how we work together and dealing and how we share. Now, I know some of you might think, what does a 20-year-old care about the world? But you will be wrong. This is a generation that knows economic theories, climate change, warnings, indicators, and international injustices by heart. This is a generation that can look back at past justice movements and not only learn from them, but improve on them. This is a generation that has the APN's German Green Card as a quality. And this is the first and the last time I wrote it. It's close because it has seen through the lies and perpetrated in death Israel propaganda, particularly in the United States. This is our problem, not only in the sense that we understand clearly, it's historically and including justice that has been done by several people from 1970, the Balfour Declaration, onward. And it's really not themselves at the forefront of the battle for justice in Palestine. But because it is a movement that sometimes under the military occupation. Without some of the pressure of the previous generation that were focused, as they often did, on the survival and on the education of their children. Of course, all the background of the 1948, which we won't be already basic. You don't go back 76 years of back. Those children, the children of our people who were displaced in America, have never been educated. They have grown up to be a generation without fear, a generation of faith, and acknowledging sportspeople for justice in Pakistan and beyond. That is not intimidating and will not be cowed in society. A generation that seeks to tomorrow. This gives us hope. It gives everyone that hope and understanding. Hope. Even in the midst of the sheer human suffering and loss in Gaza and all over the world. And that's where mass discussion and fun. This inspires us all to stay strong, to stay focused, and above all, to stay hopeful. Hopeful, this is the beginning of a way of change that we see all the way. Hopeful that change is coming. This is our really want to now we know it, our efforts. Now we raise our voices louder. Now we push forward, ever more determined, empowered by this dream created by this new generation. Our new generation. All the way to the great sovereign, control, justice, and dignity for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Zook. And he talked about the student encampments, and I am very, I want to say honored, but I'm really just much more excited because about a month and a half ago, the beginning of April, right? The beginning of April, I was invited down to the University of Miami in Ohio. I thought it was University of Miami, Florida, but it was actually Ohio. And they brought me down there to talk and to give a comedy show, and I met a Palestinian activist there who I heard her speak, and I was so moved by when she spoke. And then, of course, I said to her, we have to invite you to Michigan. And then, by no surprise, they started their own student encampment at the University of Miami, Ohio. And now she's here with us today. So please help me welcome our Palestinian Center from the University of Miami, Mesa Constantinidis. I said it right. Okay, get close to the mic.
Hello, thank you so much. You better hope the Miami students don't hear you because it's Miami University, not University of Miami. But it's okay, it's okay. Ooh, this is not Oxford, Ohio anymore. We are in Dearborn. I love to see it. Love to see more than 5 Palestinians here. It's just so wonderful to be surrounded by my people. I mean, it's great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here today. So there have been encampments around all these universities, and if you guys don't know about Oxford, Ohio, we're in the middle of nowhere. If you drive, you just see fields upon fields. You turn again, there's more fields. Like Oxford, Ohio, literally nowhere. So when we had an encampment, people were confused. They never thought Miami University was going to have an encampment. There has not been action, any type of activism in Miami University in 15 years. Since the anti-Vietnam War protests, there has not been any sort of activism. We decided, hey, that's not going to stop us because there's an issue and we're going to talk about it. So we studied on the anti-Vietnam War protests when they took over Rowan Hall. 6 hours, over 100 students. They brought in police from outside towns. They brought in police from outside towns when we had encampment. They had a canine. They brought in a lot of police. But that didn't stop us, and we were completely peaceful. But why were they not happy? Why are they not happy when students do these encampments? Because all eyes are on them. All eyes are on Palestine. They don't like that type of attention. They don't like to be held accountable. They don't like that their lies are being revealed. How come Miami University, the president of Miami University, did not meet with us until May 1st? And the only reason he met with us is because of the encampment at Columbia and OSU. And he said this was from another administrator. He did not want us to become Columbia or OSU. Surprise, we did. Our encampment lasted for 3 days. And as I told the administrators, how come this is the most we've seen your faces than we've seen these last 2 semesters? They talk about following policy, but policy doesn't get us what we want. Policy never gets them to listen to us. Policy doesn't get us the truth. Policy doesn't get them to listen to our demands or even look at our demands. The president hadn't even looked at our demands. We had did a sit-in in his office. And an administrator told us, I'm sorry to tell you, he hasn't even looked at your demands. What do you mean? He hasn't even looked at our demands. They don't care about us. They don't care what we do until we break these rules, until we break these policies. And the encampments aren't even about us. It's about paying attention to Palestine and what's happening in Palestine. But the news tries and changes it. Look at these terrorists, look at these protesters. We're peaceful. We had a Shabbat. We were singing, we were making signs. And you brought in all these cops, you brought in a whole canine. For what? Because students were coming together to spread awareness and were taking up space on their campus? It's extremely frustrating. And on that Saturday, they told us that if we decide we have to leave by 9 p.m., if we do not leave, our organizations, SJP and YDSA, will be suspended. We asked them what would happen to the individuals. They said we won't answer that question. Okay. So we had to make the decision, and a lot of outside people don't agree with this, but we decided everybody who was in the encampment had a choice, they had a voice. We all talked together and we decided democratically, we will leave the encampment. Because at the end of the day, it was a success. They haven't seen this type of action in 15 years. All eyes were on us. So we left, but this is just the beginning. It is not the end of our encampment. And for many students, encampments might be ending, but this is just the beginning for many students. This generation, we will fight, and we are fearless, and we will keep going, because we will fight until Palestine is free. We saw what our parents, what our grandparents went through. We saw the pain. I see the pain in my grandparents' eyes. I see the pain in my mother's eyes when she talks about Palestine. It hurts. But I also see the joy when she talks about Palestine. I am a first generation. I was born here. The opportunity to be born in Palestine was taken away. It was stolen from me. I will fight for Palestine until my last breath. This is not just a Palestinian, this is not just an Arab issue or Muslim, this is a human issue, this is a global issue. This is why there's a Miami University SJP. We are a PWI, we are in Oxford, Ohio. I am the only Palestinian on my exec board, okay? We are bringing in another Palestinian, but this is a human rights issue. What I'm here to tell you guys is if Miami University can do it, anybody can do it. You just have to care and you have to have passion, because what's happening in Palestine is not okay. This is a war crime, this is a genocide. Anybody, it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter what race, what ethnicity, what religion, no. These Palestinians deserve life. They deserve to be happy. So I hope, whether you're a student, no matter who you are, we need you, we need our community. Our universities are lying to us. We need people people to tell us the truth. We need lawyers. We need anybody in whatever profession you are to help us because we need guidance. We don't know what we're doing. This is our first time doing it, but hey, we're gonna fight and we're gonna keep trying to the end because that's what we do, because that's what we're passionate about. So to all the universities, we will continue to reveal every lie, whether small, whether big. We will reveal every lie one by one. And until you diagnose, and until you realize that what's happening in Palestine is a genocide, because we had a meeting with the university and they would not even say what's happening in Palestine is a genocide. They said it's a loss of life, but it's not a genocide. And they said that the divestment is performative. Divestment is not performative. If you look at the South African apartheid, divestment is what helped. Anyways, that's why I'm in university. But we will keep fighting and we will keep going. So free Palestine until it's back.
Thank you, Mesa. All right, as they start to bring out the food, tell the kitchen they can bring out the food. As they start to bring out the food, I'd like to invite very quickly up here to bless our food someone who, from the beginning of October 7th, got in touch with me and is here locally with us, a Lutheran pastor. For those of you who don't know, the Lutheran Church is very strong in Palestine, has some of the largest institutions and some of the greatest hospitals in Palestine. And he has been with us, marching with us, and speaking with us at every event that we've had so far. So here for just a couple words and to bless our food, please help me welcome our brother, Reverend Jack Eggleston.
Thank you. Hope comes from Allah, it comes from God. Thank you. So does Samud. And we see Samud in the Palestinian people. We see Samud in the students that I can't give advice to or leadership to, but I can follow and be with. God requires of us that we love kindness, do justice, and walk humbly with God. That's what we're asking. That's what we're demanding. Free Palestine is freedom for the whole world. And we need to be able to find ways to confront the conspiracy of silence, because it is evil and it kills. And Samud for us is being generous. Samud for us is speaking, using our voices to speak truth to power here. And so I would like to offer a prayer. Oh God, oh Allah, we ask that you nourish us, but we remember those who are without. As Imam reminded us, without a glass of water, without food, without shelter, without family. And we ask that you nourish us so that we might have Samud, to be generous, to be truthful, and to do what you ask us to do, to love kindness, to do justice, and to walk humbly with you. And that means being bold, and that means speaking truth to power, shouting truth to power, that there might be justice, and when there is justice, there can be peace. Amen.
All right, we'll ask everybody to enjoy dinner, and then when everybody's done eating, we'll be back with a couple more words and our keynote speaker, Dr. Jill Stein. Enjoy dinner. Do I have any teenagers can give me a free Palestine? Who said that? Raise your hand. Stand up. Get on your chair. Stand on your chair. What's your name? What? Hassan? Do it so everybody can hear you. Free, free, again. One more time. I love you, little man. I love you. All right, everybody enjoy dinner. We'll be back in a few. All right, everyone, we're going to get started in about 2 minutes, so please have your seats. We need everybody to have their seats when we get restarted. Okay, everybody, please have your seats. If you're over at the fruit station, please get your fruit quickly and have a seat so we can continue our program. Please have your seats. Please have your seats. Somebody, what's that? Can you do me a favor and close that door? Everybody, please have your seats. We need to get started. If you're in the fruit line, let's make it happen quick. Please have your seats. Please have your seats, everybody. We can't start till everyone is in their seats again, so if you're at the fruit line, let's speed it up and let's everybody have their seats. Hi, Sobs. How are you? Hi, Wasim. Please have your seats, everyone. We can't get started again until everyone is back at their tables, so let's please have your seats. If you're at the back with the coffee or the fruit, please move quickly. Move quickly so we can get everybody back down to their seats. Please. Oh, can you close that door for me? Yes. Please, everybody, have your seats. I'm going to ask the servers, please don't take anything off the tables. Please don't take anything off the tables. Chef Talal, can you ask the servers to come out here so we can thank them? All right, everybody, please have your seats. Please have your seats. Okay, how was dinner? How was dinner? If you wonder why, I'll wait till everybody's done talking so we can start. I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll wait. Thank you. If you were wondering why dinner was so delicious and why it came to you so easily, it's because of the great staff here and the chef at Wintersbed. Let's give them a big hand back there. Thank you so much to all of the young people, the strong Arab Americans. Thank you, Chef Talal. Please don't touch anything on the tables. Do it after dinner at the end. Thank you to the staff. Okay, where is she here? Stand up, get on your chair, get really loud. Let me hear it to everybody. Go ahead. Do it again. One more time. Great job. Great job. All right. So we really can't have any more talking. Let's have everybody please turn your chairs towards the stage. If your back is turned to the stage, please turn your chair towards the stage. If your back is turned to the stage, please turn your chair towards the stage. If your back is turned, please turn your chair towards the stage. Everybody, please turn towards the stage. All right, thank you. As you see, the QR code is still up there. Everyone that's here tonight, thank you for being here. I know you came here maybe to see some of your friends. You came here because it's a night to stand up for Palestine, but we also have to all be part of what we're doing and part of helping our people back home. So I'm going to invite my sister Soha, if you could please come up here, and I'll come up here. She's joining us all the way from Jordan. She is with the PCRF in Jordan. She works in Palestine as well. And she's going to quickly tell us about the Cancer Center in Palestine and Gaza and what we are here tonight to help. So please help me welcome our sister all the way from back home, Soha.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really humbled to be with you tonight. Thank you. I'm a physician in Jordan, and I'm with the PCRF since 2017. Currently, I'm the vice president of the medical advisory board. So PCRF, as you all know, it was established in 1992 as a grassroots organization, and it has evolved with the work in Palestine and in the Levant. So basically, it started with sending kids to the United States, and I'm sure many of you have hosted kids before, and they changed the life and gave them hope. But when in 2019, they wanted to help the kids. So you know that the kids with cancer, they have to get treatment, they have to take chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And in Gaza, there is no radiotherapy. So the poor kids, they had to go and cross the border and take the permits to go to Jordan or even to go to the West Bank. And even if they want to go to the West Bank, they have to take the permits from the Israelis. And many times the parents would deny the kids, the parents permits. And sometimes imagine a kid, a 7-year-old kid by himself or herself, treated for cancer outside Gaza without their parents. So PCRF and the people, they just said, why shouldn't we start a cancer department in Gaza? So they started with donation and fundraising, a department within the Rantisi hospital. They called it Suhaila and Musa Nasser Cancer Department, Pediatric Cancer Department. And it was opened in 2019. And it provided state-of-the-art care. But unfortunately, on November 5th, 2023, this was bombarded by the Israelis, and the kids were moved with the help of St. Jude outside Gaza. And even with this, like I tell you, because some of the kids now are in Egypt, other kids are in Jordan, a couple of them are in the UAE. Imagine, even with this problem, you know, some of the kids, they gave the permit to the dad, but not to the mom. Imagine, I mean, till this moment, the atrocities that they do. So we're hoping that with your help, you can support their sumud, because we need to help them out. The best way to help them out is just to provide services that, you know, just to ease how it's going. So now the Rantisi hospital is like partially, I wouldn't say functional, but there is a way to help them out to rebuild the cancer center. And this is what we hope to do in the coming, like, you know, it's like a priority, because these kids, they need the care. And thank you.
Thanks. Wait. Can you tell, we have to help PCRF, but can you tell everybody the story of your dress that you told me earlier today, very quickly?
Okay, yes, that's the most important thing. So this dress is not my dress. Actually, I bought it from someone in Amman, Jordan. So this dress is the thobe, it's the Palestinian thobe, thobe al-Falastini. This thobe is from, because, you know, the Palestinian, they used to do their own embroidery, and they do the thobe by themselves. So it's, first, to start with, it's 125 years old. And it is the thobe of Bir Sabah, which is a city in the southern of Palestine. And you know that even the Bedouins of Bir Sabah now are fighting their own, like, they're having a genocide there with them. So I think this is, I'm just wearing this just to tell you that this is 125 years old, older than Israel.
Thank you. So, I mean, just in case anybody was wondering whether or not we forgot where we came from, she's wearing a dress that's 125 years old, part of our homeland. Raise your hand if cancer has ever affected your family. Look at everybody's hands. My mother too had breast cancer last year. Thankfully, she beat it. And so this cancer center that we're trying to help rebuild in Palestine and Gaza is something that we know is going to save lives and save families. So again, the QR, this is not one of those Arab fundraising things where we go around the room and say, who's gonna give me 10,000, who's gonna give me 25,000? That's not what we're doing here tonight. I'm asking you to open up that link at ngp1948.org. I'm asking you to use that QR code. If you gave once again tonight, it's not against the rules to give again. If you want to give whatever you can give tonight to help us rebuild that cancer center and also to help Doctors Against Genocide to do medical missions and medical deliveries. And how many of you were at the conference earlier today with Doctors Against Genocide? An amazing conference, the inaugural conference of Doctors Against Genocide, talking about the genocide on Gaza and Palestine. And so hopefully this will be a conference that happens every year. I see him standing up, but I want to give him a quick shout out, is Dr. Omar Latouf, who is here with us. He's a trustee of Hebron Khalil University and joining us here today from Atlanta Emory University. They are part of something called the Gaza Health Initiative, which we also have to make sure that we support as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you. You can continue doing what you're doing. Thank you, Dr. Latouf, for being with us as well. Okay, now I'd like to welcome up to the stage to say a quick couple words. Commissioner, if I can have you up on the stage. To say a quick couple of words with us. A lot of you know, well, how many of you are Beydoun? There's like 50 of you in the room already, okay? And Commissioner Sam Beydoun has been at the forefront. I have been talking about Palestine for a long time here in Dearborn. I haven't always had a bunch of allies. They've always thought I've been a little bit annoying. But Sam has always been someone who has supported me, and Sam has always been someone who has called me and told me to keep going. And when this genocide started, there were many politicians who were not doing the right thing. And many politicians who, it took them a little bit late to come to the wedding. You know, if you had a wedding, you know who showed up early and you know who showed up at 10 o'clock. Well, this guy is one of the guys who showed up early. And he was there, and Sam has been at the forefront. And I told Sam when he called me a couple months ago, he said, man, I'm getting a lot of pressure. I said, Sam, you are going to be maybe the only politician that gets out of this with their hands clean in our community, somebody who stood up from the beginning. And he made sure, and Sam worked so hard to make sure that back in November, the Wayne County Commission, after a lot of hard work from Sam and also Commissioner Al Haydous and David Knizik, Sam was at the forefront to make sure that the Wayne County Commission unanimously passed the ceasefire resolution in the Wayne County Commission. So please help me welcome our brother, Commissioner Sam Beydoun.
Thank you, Amir. Just a quick correction. Amir, I'm not a politician. I told you that many times. I'm a public servant.
That's right.
There's a big difference. So
That's what a politician says.
that's what a comedian says. So anyway, I don't have a speech prepared, but as Amir mentioned, back in December, actually December 19, the Wayne County Commission overwhelmingly passed a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire. At the time, I spoke on the record, and I want to repeat what I said back then in December. I said this is not a religious war between Islam and Judaism. As a matter of fact, many of our Jewish brothers and sisters are standing with us and calling for a ceasefire. And one of them happened to be at the county commission, Joshua. Stand up, Joshua. Joshua came and he spoke and he said, we demand an immediate ceasefire, not in our name. And I also mentioned that anytime we criticize the right-wing government of Israel for their indiscriminate bombing of entire neighborhoods and schools and churches and mosques and hospitals, we are not anti-Semite. We are Semite anyway, okay? This is pro-humanity. We said that before and we'll say it again here today. So with that, tomorrow, President Biden is gonna be in Michigan. I wanna renew our call, which have been falling on deaf ears for almost 8 months. I wanna renew our call from Dearborn, the capital of Arab America. We demand an immediate ceasefire and the humanitarian aid to flow into Gaza, free Palestine.
And that's a good reminder from Commissioner Baydoun, 1 p.m. tomorrow at the Civic Center in the parking lot. We hope to have thousands of people. 1 p.m. tomorrow, tell all your friends. Hopefully you all got a text from me or you've been getting WhatsApps from me and everyone. 1 p.m. tomorrow outside the Civic Center. We're gonna have a rally and then march down Michigan Avenue. President Biden, we didn't know that when we planned it, but President Biden, we shouldn't call him president anymore. Joe Biden will Genocide Joe. Who wants to start a Genocide Joe chant? I like it. Okay. By the way, I forgot, we have said thank you to a lot of people, but I forgot to welcome some of our uninvited guests from the FBI and CIA that are here with us tonight. Let's have a big hand for them. They are here. I don't know where they are. Dr. Stein? No, you're not one of them? No. Okay, one last little presentation before our keynote speaker. Our brother Muhammad Anaya, please come join us, Muhammad. Our brother Muhammad Anaya, who is an architect and a designer, and he and I had a crazy idea a few years ago, and now he's gonna spend a little bit, 5 minutes, to show you what it's all about. It's gonna be on the slide today. 5 minutes to show you what it's all about. So please give your attention for a few minutes. I don't want to break the surprise. Attention for a few minutes to our brother, Muhammad Anaya.
Thank you, Ahmed, and good evening, everybody. About 5 years ago, we had a crazy idea. Ahmed said, we want to hop on a plane and go somewhere. And that where was the Palestine Museum that Mr. Fuad had started. Faisal Fuad. With his own funds, with his own building, with his own sweat, and we went there. And it was a very impressive place. And on the way back, Ahmed said, "Muhammad, you're the best designer in the whole wide world. Can you design a museum?" I'm just paraphrasing. That's how I heard it. And I said, "Sure, I can do that." At that time, I was a bottle designer, designing bottles. I used to be an architect, so I went and bought a computer, software, and rendering, and I sat down and I said, what would a Palestinian museum looks like? So that's one part of the story. The other part of the story is this morning we were with Doctors Against Genocide. And the thought is, what is against genocide? What is the opposite of genocide? It is preserving our culture. And what is a better place to preserve a culture than a museum? So I went on thinking about what is the best way to design a museum, what represents Palestine, and it's a one-shot deal. We're not going to have it like one in every city. So I wanted to put all of these ideas together. So the first thing I thought about is Handala. Handala needs to be there because he is the symbol of return, right of return. Handala is a refugee. Najil Ali came up with that idea, and we're not going to be a whole until Handala put that key in the keyhole and turns it and opened the door for his grandparents' house. So this Handala statue that is in the front, once you turn around the building, it turns into the Palestinian map with the olive branch and with Palestine. So Hamdallah is turning his key into opening Palestine for us from the river to the sea. If you turn around, you could see these terraces that will have plants from everywhere in Palestine. Palestine is an agricultural community, and we want to preserve every seed and every plant in this museum. And if we see the terraces, because we have made every inch of Palestine fruitful and producible. We cut the rocks and we build these terraces, and we know how much these olive trees are dear to us. I got my inspiration from the arches that is all over Palestine and from the black and white marbles that kind of gives a very distinction to Bilad al-Sham and their architecture. And as you turn, you could see more of that motif and design. And Palestinian has been there. Cultures came and left, conquerors came and left, and we have absorbed some of those cultures. They never absorbed us. We took their cultures and we improved. And the entrance of the place has a lot of broken concrete. If we think about the separation wall, if we think about all of the concrete that's sitting over our Gazans, concrete means something to us. But the best concrete is the one that we break ourselves and open up the borders between us and the rest of Palestine. The place is very high, so you go on a ramp down, and this place is a saha. And in this saha is where we celebrate. Palestinians celebrate. Palestinians do not lament. Palestinians don't talk about their sorrows unless they are fighting out of it. Once they fight out of it, they only celebrate. And you know, Milton Barkat, I love something he said. He said, Palestinians brought music to Lebanon. So all of the Lebanese music is Palestinian. I myself was born in Kuwait. The whole curriculum of Kuwait was Palestinian. Wherever we go, we prosper and we participate and we add to these cultures. So this Saha is where everybody would come. We say we would have an event every week because, you know, Dabke is the Palestinian thing, and this is the preservation. This is how we fight genocide. And the terrace there is a restaurant because there is a kitchen, and every week we're going to have a village in Palestine introduce their dish through a cooking lesson. So we're going to have cooking lessons. We're going to have Dabke lessons. We're going to teach our culture to our children, but to the places where these museums show up. There's a door underneath that terrace. That's where the kitchen is, and that's where the cooking and the cooking lessons happen. And here's a video of what the place would look like. If you could go to the bottom of the screen, please.
Why don't you talk them through it?
Yeah, this is the museum. As you come front, you see Handala. When you turn around, you see all of the different architectural cultures that came through Palestine and left their stamp here. And as you will turn, you will see the terrace, and you will see the kitchen, and you will see the cooking lessons where they happen. And as you turn again, you will see the Saha and the Dabke, and where everybody else gets together to celebrate. And we're going through Handala. And we're gonna go up and up.
This is my favorite part, right here, look.
And
Look at
the
that.
roof is a kufiyya. And this is, my friends, what me and Amir and Majd have envisioned after we have been inspired by Faisal and what his effort was, and hopefully we will continue to preserve our culture and stop the genocide. Thank you very much.
Great job. All right, so my question is, can you go to the next slide so we go back to the next slide? Or you might have to go one more. Yeah, there we go. My question is, will you help us build this museum? No, this is not very good. Will you help us build this museum? Okay, good. Not tonight, but we will come back another night and ask you for a lot of money and maybe land to help build that museum, but we think we can do it, and there's no better place to do it than right here in the heart. You guys moving in the back? You're walking in the back? Okay, sorry. It's like the CIA walking in. Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. You could have gone that way and not been on TV. That's okay, no problem. All right, good to see you. Dr. Nidal Jabbour, everybody. Oh, now, yeah, we'll clap for you now. Yes, from Al Khalil. Thank you so much. So we will come back and ask for a lot of help with this museum one day. All right, I'm going to give everybody 30 seconds now to go to the QR code one more time. If you go to there one more time, QR code NGP 1948, there are many options. I believe one of the options to give is $1,948, 1948, but you may give whatever option you want. And before we get now to our keynote speaker and the main attraction of the evening, I'm going to do something that I do at all of our events. I know that we all love and support each other, but I'm not sure that we tell each other enough. So I want you to look at everybody on your table and maybe look at somebody on a different table and say to them, I'm happy to see you tonight. Now I want you to look at all these people and tell them, I'm proud of you. Tell them again, I'm proud of you. Good, now I want you to look at all these people and tell them, I love you. Bil halal, I love you. Because the biggest lie that they tell about us is that we are a people full of hate. Nothing else could be further from the truth. We Arabs are a people full of love. And this city of Dearborn has the most love of it than any other city in the world. And so we, as a community full of love, are honored to have with us our guest of honor tonight. She has been a voice for decades, speaking up for social justice, environmental justice, racial justice, and justice for every single person in this country. She has been someone who has put aside everything else in her life to run for president for the people of this country. She is someone who has been a voice of truth in a sea of lies in our political system. And so here in Dearborn, in the heart and the heartbeat of the Arab American community, we welcome this evening for us presidential candidate Dr. Jill Stein.
Thank you so much. Free Palestine.
That's right.
We will free Palestine. They will not stop us from freeing Palestine. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Doctors Against Genocide. Thank you, Palestine Children's Relief Fund. Thank you, everyone who's here tonight and leading the charge to free Palestine and to free us all. Because what goes down in Palestine doesn't stay in Palestine. What happens in Palestine right now is an effort to normalize the torture and murder of children on an industrial scale. And we say, this is not okay, and it stops here and now. We are looking at the end of international law. We're looking at the end of human rights, and this impacts all of us. It's not only 2 million people in Palestine for whom we now are basically on a death watch. I hate to say that, and it gives me great sorrow to say that. But that is the state of affairs right now, brought to us not only by the apartheid state of Israel, but also by the government of Joe Biden and the Congress of Democrats and Republicans, two parties of war and Wall Street. And we, the American people, have had quite enough, because we want an end to the genocide. We want an end to the endless war machine. That war machine expresses itself not only in this genocide, this imminent, precarious death watch that we're on, but endless wars around the whole world. what's going on in Israel and Palestine now, essentially it's another Middle East war with Israel and Palestine now bombing or otherwise attacking some 5 countries, with Bibi Netanyahu trying to drag the United States into a much larger war with Iran. This is the nature of US empire. As Ronald Reagan's Secretary of Defense, Caspar Weinberger, said back in the 1980s, Israel is the unsinkable battleship for the United States in the Middle East. He didn't say this, but the subtext of that was basically safeguarding the world's oil supply so that the US would not only have access to it, but so that the US could control who else has access to it. And it's not widely known, but the US foreign policy, our military policy, has a formal name which was given to it by the Pentagon back in the mid-1990s, and that is full spectrum dominance. That's the notion that the United States shall dominate all areas of the world in all potential realms of combat, whether it is the battlefield and the land, or the air, or the sea, or under the sea, or outer space, or cyberspace. It is the explicit policy of the United States military that we shall dominate all of those spaces and not allow any power to rise, even at a regional level. Now, maybe you could get away with that when you were the dominant economic power of the world. But the United States is no longer the dominant economic power of the world. So, I hate to break it to you, Joe Biden and Democrats and Republicans, but you're no longer the bully in the schoolyard, although you may act that way, but you're just not in charge. The world is changing, and America needs to come up to speed and become part of a multipolar world. We need to be a team player, and we need to play by the rules of international law. So many of the conflicts that we are in right now would be solved if we were just playing by the rules of international law. For example, genocide is not allowed. For another example, ethnic cleansing is not allowed. Occupation is not allowed. Apartheid government is not allowed. And we have a message for Joe Biden, and that is pick up the telephone and call Bibi Netanyahu and tell him that it is over. The genocide is over. Withdraw your troops, end the missile strikes and the bombs. They are done. Now, Ronald Reagan, a conservative and reactionary president, did this in the 1980s. Dwight Eisenhower did that by calling the ruler of Israel at that time and telling him to withdraw his troops from Egypt, where Israel and France and England at the time had invaded. And at the phone call from Dwight Eisenhower, they brought their troops home and did what he said. And the same thing applies as in the 1980s with Reagan. It was Lebanon, where Israeli troops had followed the PLO, which was the Hamas of another era, which tells us, by the way, that what we considered a terrorist group back in the 1980s is no longer a terrorist group. And in fact, Hamas themselves have agreed to a peace treaty, which Israel itself has not agreed to. So this effort to demonize Hamas as beyond the pale and an absolutely unredeemable terrorist organization is just false. That is not true. And the effort to give cover to this genocide and this ethnic cleansing, which has been the game plan since 1948 and before that. Many Jews, like myself, who were raised within the Jewish tradition, we were taught that Israel is or I should say Palestine, which then became Israel, was a land without a people, and the Jews were a people without a land, so of course this was a marriage made in heaven. Well, in fact, that's obviously completely false. And even the Israeli historians who had access for the first time in the 1990s, for the first time they had access to Israel's own national archives and were able to show that in fact what the Palestinians had been saying all along was absolutely true. That there was an intentional plan for displacement, for the conduct of a terrorist campaign against the local population. And that's where this problem began. It did not begin on October 7th. So the bottom line is that this is an eminently solvable problem if we simply apply international law and we put an end to occupation and apartheid and ethnic cleansing. And the US needs to say the financial support, the military support, the air cover, the missile cover, the Iron Dome, all of the intelligence, everything that makes Israel's genocide the US genocide also. This is a shared enterprise. And the US needs to cease and desist from enabling and conducting this genocide. So the question is, so how do we make that happen? And I think as horrific as this genocide is, and every day it gets worse, and every day it becomes more and more of a genocide on steroids, and it's just shocking and horrifying. But for all of that, the American people have opposed this since very early on. One of the early polls in November done by Reuters found that 68% of Americans wanted an immediate ceasefire and a negotiated solution and an end of this Israeli war on Palestine and Gaza. And those numbers generally keep rising. It depends on which polling agency you look at, but they are all now showing a very strong majority of the American people want an end to this genocide. So why is that not happening? Why do you see an overwhelming vote in Congress to continue sending, most recently, $26 billion to Israel to keep conducting this genocide? Well, clearly there is a terrible disconnect here between our political system and the American people who know what to do, the students on our campuses who know what to do. And a big shout out to Mesa and the students at Miami University for representing the best of us. In fact, there was a judge just recently in Rhode Island, I think, who heard the case of some 40 students who were being accused of all sorts of criminal violations for their encampment at Brown. And you know what that judge said? He said, I think this is actually what peaceful protest is supposed to look like. And he dismissed all of the cases. That's what all of the judges should be doing. And I have to say, in my own case, where myself and Kelly and our campaign manager, the three of us, were all arrested, I was accused of assault when the police were assaulting us with a bicycle as a battering ram, trying to knock us over back onto our heads. And one of the cops picked up, as we were about to topple backwards, one of the cops picked up my foot to like deliver the final blow and to like flip me onto my back. And at that point, and I was luckily able to recover my balance and basically wiggle out of his death blow. And he at that point said to me, I'm paraphrasing, but effectively, you are under arrest for assaulting a police officer. It was like, are you kidding me? You know, it's like, how outrageous. But I have to say, I think the Washington University in St. Louis that committed such an outrage by calling in the cops, and brutal cops who'd been trained by the Israeli occupation forces, in fact, because that's a thing now. Our police forces all over this country are being trained by the Israeli occupation forces, in fact, all over the world. It's really the flip side of a country that has become an empire. It really demolishes our democracy at home as well. And that's why they cannot tolerate criticism, they cannot tolerate free speech, they cannot tolerate the right to protest, which is what? This is our fundamental First Amendment rights. This is what makes a democracy, and suddenly they can't tolerate it. It's just outrageous. This is the price we pay, unfortunately, for allowing this, this empire to have seized hold of our government. And it's not like this is a new thing. You know, the history shows that in fact the US has overturned 70 some sovereign governments since the Second World War, secretly through the CIA. You know, this is just what we do, and this is what an empire looks like. But what we're seeing in Gaza is kind of the end stage of that empire. The US can no longer get away with this because the rest of the world is saying, no, don't you dare, stop it now. So the US cannot continue to get away with this kind of imperial abusive behavior, abusive overseas, abusive at home, and it's consuming half of our congressional budget, this endless war machine, which simply engages in one failure after the other in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Libya, in Syria. The US is spending trillions upon trillions of dollars creating failed states, mass refugee migrations, and continuing terrorist threats. So the bottom line is, this system is basically in a state of unraveling right now. That means the way forward is changing. This is a perfect storm right now because the majority of Americans have had it. They've had enough. They've had enough of rents that they can't afford, health care they can't afford, student debt that they can't pay, education, which is just unaffordable on every count, schools that are failing where budgets are not sufficient, and yet half of our budget is being spent on these endless wars. So it's not working abroad, it's not working at home, and it's resulting in genocide, which is an absolute red line for so many people. So this is a perfect storm coming into this election now, where there are two zombie candidates that we've seen before. We've had quite enough of them. So what does the empire do? It is trying to keep it a secret that people have choices. And one of the ways they do that is by keeping us off the ballot, but we have news for them. We have already done 75% of the work. You have to collect 1 million signatures in order to get on the ballot. If you're in one of the war parties, your grandfather did. All you have to do is get the nomination. But if you are running with a grassroots anti-genocide party, you have to jump through all kinds of hoops. Right now, we are jumping through the last remaining critical hoop in New York State. We have a little more than a week left to collect a couple, 20, 30,000 signatures as part of a 90,000 signature burden. So this is just to say, if you have friends in New York, or people even near New York who would like to ensure that there is a strong anti-genocide campaign on the ballot across the country in this election, tell them to go to our website, which is jillstein2024.com. They can plug in to the ballot drive and we can help them basically volunteer. It's not just a matter of signing. If you signed, you're just one signature out of 90,000 that we need. But if you will carry petitions, you can get 500 or even 1,000 signatures in the time remaining. So I just say that for you to know that this is not an impossible task. They've tried to make it an impossible task to silence opposition, especially because the American people are in a very active state of uprising right now against this permanent war economy and this genocide. So the American people are really primed for a campaign that would be of, by, and for the people instead of, by, and for the war contractors, for APAC, for the health insurance industry, and the usual suspects who control our political system. And just to remind you of how much power we have. So I want to share two quotes with you. One is from Frederick Douglass, the famous abolitionist, who said, "The power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has and it never will. By standing up and demanding an end to genocide, an end to empire, an end to oligarchy, and the beginning of an America and a world that works for all of us. We have to make that demand. Democracy needs a moral compass. Democracy cannot get by just ducking and voting for the lesser evil and thinking that that's okay or not voting. There's nothing that the empire wants more than for you to disappear and for you to give up your power. Your vote is your power. It's very important to stand up with an affirmative vote. Being uncommitted and the uncommitted campaign is a very important first step. But now we have to move from uncommitted to committed against genocide. That's what we need to do. That's what we can do. And the last quote I want to leave you with is Alice Walker, the novelist and poet, who said, "The biggest way people give up power is by not knowing we have it to start with." When we have 68% of Americans who want to end this genocide now, that is a winning demographic right there. That is a winning vote. When we have 44 million young people locked into student debt, that is a winning vote. And we are the only campaign that will bail out the students like they bailed out the Wall Street bankers when they crashed the economy. It's time to bail out the students who were basically talked into a very bad deal. And we are the only campaign that will make all public higher education free, because not doing that basically throws a younger generation into an economy where they cannot survive without the skills of post-high school education. So there are so many groups now that we will be the only hope for on the ballot. So when they tell you it's hopeless or that you're powerless, recognize that that is their propaganda to try to talk you out of action, to talk you out of your power, because we have that power. And the key, remember this, there are going to be 3 pro-genocide candidates on the ballot. Trump, Biden, and Robert F. Kennedy. 3 pro-genocide candidates. They could wind up splitting the pro-war, pro-genocide vote among the 3 of them. If we can break through, we're the 4th campaign which is on track right now to be on the ballot across the country and truly challenge empire for power. If you have a vote that's divided 4 ways, it can be won potentially with as little as 26% of the vote. That is not hard to imagine. It is a win-win possibility. Either way, it is a win-win solution. Whatever happens, if we get to the White House, that's great. If we don't get to the White House, but we launch a strong movement which is here for the long haul, to stop genocide, to stop planned war, to stop empire and oligarchy. This is a long struggle. We need to stop that genocide now. We need to do everything in our power to do that. One of the most powerful ways of making that happen is by getting on the ballot in New York and across the rest of the country. To Joe Biden and the world machines, that their days are numbered, and that we are coming. We, the American people, are coming on behalf of justice in Palestine, on behalf of justice here in America, on behalf of justice and democracy the world over. So this is what we can do if we stand up with the courage of our convictions, like our students have been doing on campuses across the land. So let's stand up together. Together we are absolutely unstoppable. Let's make it happen. Thank you so much.
Let me say, LGBT cannot endorse anybody, so that we don't all get arrested, but I will say, Dr. Stein, we are not allowed to legally endorse anybody. Dr. Stein, the law says we are not allowed to endorse anybody. Dr. Stein, we would like to thank all of you one more time for the person that's in the bottom. I haven't seen you right. One more time, look at them and tell them I'm proud of you. One more time, look at them and tell them I love you. I want to thank our athletics in the United States. I thank them for of America. And he had left and I love them all. Look now, I'm sorry. Thank you for all of you for being here with us. Say it. Where's my number one friend? Tell them loudly. One more time. Good night, everybody. See you all soon. Good night.